After months of rumors, reports, speculation, the Chicago Bulls firing head coach Tom Thibodeau on Thursday after 5 seasons on the bench. The 2011 NBA Coach of the Year, he won 255 regular season games with the Bulls, made 5 trips to postseason, but the public disagreements with management ultimately led to his dismissal. Here is Bulls GM Gar Forman this afternoon talking about it.
We dug deep and we looked at a lot of different things as far as where this team's at and trying to sustain success and trying to grow on that success. So there were a lot of different topics that we dug into. I don't want to get into the specifics or the details of every one, but as we came out of those meetings, it was our decision, again, that we felt a change was needed in order for us to continue to move forward.
Now, this is a portion of the statement from Bulls chairman Jerry Reinsdorf. It's very telling, really. While the head of each department of the organization must be free to make final decisions regarding his department, there must be free and open interdepartmental discussion and consideration of everyone's ideas and opinions. These internal discussions must not be considered an invasion of turf and must remain private. Teams that consistently perform at the highest levels are able to come together, be unified across the organization. Staff, players, coaches, management, and ownership. When everyone is on the same page, trust develops, teams can grow and succeed together. Unfortunately, there has been a departure from this culture. Now, Tom Thibodeau issuing a statement late Thursday, and he thanked the city of Chicago, their fans, the players, and their families, and he also thanked Jerry Reinsdorf for giving him the opportunity. And right now we want to bring in by phone Casey Johnson of the Chicago Tribune. You know him as the fine beat writer for the Chicago Bulls. Casey, where did this ultimately go wrong for Tibbs and Bulls brass?
Well, it's actually been, obviously building for several seasons, Vince. I mean, you can even go back to the contract extension that was announced at the start of training camp in 2012 that Tom took 6 months to sign. He said it was lawyer issues, but he was upset with some personnel moves that summer where, the Bulls let Omer Asik and Kyle Korver walk for nothing. So there's been a feeling of distrust and discord between him and management for several years. There's been several incidents over the years. And to me, it coalesced most spectacularly this season when management, with the help of the medical staff and ownership, imposed those minutes restrictions on Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose. And Tom just bristled against that right from the start, and that's where things went really awry this season.
All right, I was going to point to that. If there have been 2 really outstanding criticisms, it's really the lack of perceived creative offense, the creativity there, the growth, and then the minutes for players that seem to affect them down the stretch in the playoffs. Are those both legit?
Yeah, and I mean, I think there is somewhat of a perception this was basically based on a feud between Tom and management, but it really moved beyond that to questions, right or wrong, from management about his performance. I know for a fact that the organization felt this was a major missed opportunity this year, not being able to beat the Cavaliers in the second round with how, affected by injuries the Cavaliers were. I mean, look, LeBron James is the greatest player of this generation, and he's eliminated the Bulls 4 out of the last 6 postseasons, but management felt that the Bulls had a very good chance to win that series, and they did not. So it's beyond just disagreements now and into questions about the performance on the court.
Casey, was there ever a sense that he lost the team at any point? What was the internal mood among the players?
Well, I've reported this season that, this is really the first season he's experienced any pushback at all from players. And, that's really pretty common in the NBA. I mean, I'm not trying to make this a unique situation. But there were times where players, questioned some of his methods. And I know that in some of the exit meetings, some players, were pretty open about some of the issues they had with Tom. But players also, I don't want to speak poorly of players. They intensely respected Tom's work ethic, his preparation, his detail, his success. I mean, the guy's won a championship as an associate head coach in Boston and won a lot of games here in Chicago. So I think that was just one aspect to it, but it's certainly a factor in where we are today.
As you know, 2 years remaining on the contract. As you look at this now, immediately, who comes to mind as possible successor?
Well, all signs point to Fred Hoiberg, and it's basically, from what I'm told and what I'm reporting, his job to lose. Fred's been very, very quiet since his heart surgery a month ago, and rightfully so, spending time with family. But if it's not Fred Hoiberg, it's because he said no. He's the Bulls said that they have no candidates in mind today, but that's just not reality that he's their main candidate, and I would expect him to be the next coach of the Bulls.
All right, Casey Johnson, thank you so much. Always good information throughout the course of the year. Thanks for being with us once again.
Thank you, guys.
All right, DZ, I'll start with you. Is this a case where maybe a coach takes a team as far as he's going to take that team? I mean, how do you assess it?
Well, yes. It's a thin line between love and hate. When Tibbs first took over, we praised him so much about the defensive end, his approach for the game. But I was taking a few notes listening to KC, comes to mind. He started burning out his players. You saw Luau Dang and different guys, to your point, playing so many minutes. You get to the playoffs, they have nothing left. No offensive flow. You talked about that. How many times have we sat there and say, Tibbs, the defense is there, but what's up with the late game execution, not getting things done? Number 3, days off, practices. You heard Noah and different guys say, you know what? He hasn't figured out when to give us a day off. We've never had 2 days off in the last 4 years. That's unheard of in NBA playoffs, with an NBA team. And lastly, the relationship with your assistant coaches. You never really heard an assistant coach talk up and say, hey, coach, let's try this, let's try that. So when all these things start to compile and now you're starting to lose every season, you're starting to figure out how can I tinker some things. So all those things, I think, came to his point where you had to let him go.
Interesting. Smitty?
Yeah, you look at Tibbs, I mean, unbelievable job at times when they were shorthanded throughout the playoffs, getting this team to play at a level to win games without Derrick Rose a lot of injured guys. But I think just the wear and tear of Tibbs kind of wore out on the players. But in all, he was still winning. But I think after a while is winning, but we have a team that we feel can compete for a championship. And I think that's where they thought when Derrick Rose came back and they were kind of fully healthy until Pau Gasol got hurt in the playoffs, they thought this was a team that could definitely get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then from there on had a chance to get to the championship and may win. They haven't had that opportunity, and obviously Derrick Rose has been hurt a lot of these years, but I think Tom Thibodeau and management, this is not months. It seems like this been, Thibodeau might be leaving for years. We've been talking about this, Chicago and management and Tom Thibodeau not getting along for a long time.
So you see this championship window is still remaining open for them, and maybe for the next guy coming in, this could be a great opportunity, almost like a Steve Kerr type opportunity?
I mean, yes. You look at everything when you ask for a team. I mean, obviously you can add something, maybe some more outside shooting, but they have a rookie in Doug McDermott that can shoot the basketball flat out. Then you can see the guys that's going to be unrestricted, and obviously, you know, I think the Bulls franchise has enough to be able to re-sign a Mike Dunleavy, and obviously Jimmy Butler is going to be huge. But I think you're talking about Noah, Pau Gasol, you add just to this team definitely can win a championship.
Well, I think the defensive mindset's there. Very similar to you talking about with Steve Kerr, how Mark Jackson started that. So now whoever their next coach is, can you get these guys going back to having fun on the other end of the floor? Because how many times have we sat here and said, okay, Bulls are playing defense, they're back in the ball game, then they get a 4 or 6 minute span where they can score the basketball. So I think that's the biggest thing. Get those guys back to having fun on the offensive end.
Yeah, and when it's not about winning, then there is a bigger issue there because the wins were there, the contention was there. Not getting to the finals maybe, but 255 regular season wins and postseason every year. But Tom Thibodeau is gone.